and welcome to the first video in our self-care series. In this video, I'll be introducing what self-care is, what it means to practice self-care, and also what we'll be exploring in the videos in the rest of this series. Self-care is defined as the deliberate practice of taking action to improve our own physical or mental health. There is no single right or wrong way to do self-care. Rather, it's about finding a way of bringing self-care into your life in a way that works for you. So as long as the action is healthy, having a positive impact on you, and the intention is to maintain or improve your well-being, then it doesn't really matter what it is. And self-care isn't always about doing something, like going for a run, making crafts, or taking a bath. Although of course it can be. But sometimes it's not about what you do, but how you approach things. For example, if I realise I've made too many plans, it might be an act of self-care to say no to something and have a night in to myself. Or it might be an act of self-care to be kind to myself when I haven't gone for a run as I'd intended. Rather than being hard on myself, I can have self-compassion and say, maybe I needed some rest, and instead, what do I need to do to ensure that I go in the future? Some other examples of self-care include eating well, being active, and sleeping well. In fact, these are the foundations of self-care. Think of these as a starting point and base for looking after ourselves. And there are loads of other examples, such as having fun, having a good support network, being kind to ourselves, being creative, practicing mindfulness, and so many more. Another example is the 5 ways to well-being. This includes taking notice, connecting with others, giving back, being active, and keeping learning. I won't go into more detail of the 5 ways in this video, but if you do want to know more, then follow the link in the caption below. I'll now talk you through some tips that we recommend for practicing self-care. 1. Set small, achievable goals. Often when we want to make a change, we can set huge goals that seem almost impossible, which can then demotivate us. By breaking down the goal into manageable chunks, i.e. what is one thing I can do today to work towards that goal, we give ourselves these easy wins, a sense of achievement, and we are encouraged to keep going towards a bigger goal. 2. Try habit stacking. It's about stacking a new habit on top of a current habit. It can be difficult to form new habits, but if we attach something new to something we already do, then we're more likely to remember and make time to do it. Also, self-care can sometimes feel like another thing on an already busy to-do list. Habit stacking is a simple way to introduce something new without it feeling like yet another thing we need to remember. An example of habit stacking would be, say, an existing habit like brushing your teeth and a new habit of mindfulness. You could habit stack by, before brushing your teeth, taking 5 mindful breaths, and then use the time you spend brushing your teeth to be mindful, focusing on what you're doing and your senses in that moment. 3. Develop a sense of self-awareness. We're all different, and what works for one person may not work for someone else. So it can help before trying something new to check in with yourself and think about how do you feel before it and again after. If you feel calmer, more content and happier, some kind of positive outcome, then the chances are that it's something that works for you and worth doing again. And if not, it's okay to not do that thing again. Sometimes we can find out what works for us by discovering first what doesn't. 4. Encourage self-compassion. We can all be our own worst critic, and when things go wrong, it can be an invitation for our inner critic to pop up and we can experience a slew of negative thinking. It's important to remember we're all human and we all make mistakes. In those moments, it's important that we show kindness to ourselves. It can help sometimes to think, what would I say to a friend if this was their experience? And then try and apply that to ourselves. 5. Have fun. Sometimes the talk around self-care can be quite serious. I must do this and do that, etc. But it's so important to find things that we enjoy doing. It means you'll be more encouraged to keep doing them, especially when you get busy or don't really feel like doing it. A lot of us know that self-care is important, but it's often the first thing to go when we get busy and stressed. Can you take a moment to think of one positive self-care action you can take no matter how busy you get? As you can see, there are so many different ways that we can practice self-care, but we'll be focusing on our foundations of self-care in our subsequent videos, which I spoke about earlier. These include sleeping well, eating well, and staying active. Check out the other videos in the series and find out more.